Hey guys, Cornelius. Gonna do a video on Town Hall 12 hybrids specific for Town Hall 12. It will help Town Hall 11. The goals change a little bit on the Town Hall 11 versus Town Hall 12, but it's similar. When we're talking about Town Hall 12 hybrid, base composition usually somewhere around 12 miners, 18 hogs, 5 healers, and then 2 heals and 2 rage spells, and then the back part of that being some flex spells. So depending on base, you may decide that maybe you need a poison for the CC, which I highly recommend, or a free spell for an Inferno target or single target Inferno tower, as well as maybe a jump spell if you have something you need to access. As far as clan castle troops, the hogs in either the siege barracks, or if you're going to do a Yeti bomb, you can do a Yeti bomb. As far as the Yeti bomb goes, it's about value. The big thing with using the Yeti bomb, I would suggest, is if you're going to use a Yeti bomb, the CC needs to go down first. Unless it's basically a base, there's no way of effectively luring it, and you can get a high value target, plus do some funneling. But the Yeti bomb has, I think, less value than the siege barracks, just because the siege barracks does put out that extra 70-ish troop space. The P.E.K.K.A. and then the 8 wizards that really do some extra damage on the base, help with funneling. But the Yeti bomb can be very effective. Now we're talking about Town Hall 12. The most important thing to do is the queen is going to set one side of the funnel. CC has to go down. All right, with the CC going down, that really allows your troops to kind of move freely throughout the base. If you think about it, for a witch, for example, if you have 3 witches in there and they don't go down, the miners and hogs will never beat through that witch fast enough to get her dead. And it's going to completely just kill your attack. Dragons the same way. If there's nothing else there to kind of take them out, the dragon will just pick on them, over and over and over as they try to move throughout the base. Valkyrie, the miners can probably overwhelm the Valkyrie, but again, because she does so much multi splash damage with the spin, she very easily could remove half or more of your troops for that squad. So the CC going down, and really there's nothing the queen can't take without any additional assistance. I would say maybe a P.E.K.K.A. is the only thing that you may need to reserve a free spell for, but if it's a fresh hit, you're not going to know it's there. The Lava Hound, it's time consuming, but it doesn't do anything, and the E-Drags, dragons, and all that stuff go down just to a poison spell. Basically, you don't even really need a rage spell for them. Witches, you'll need a poison spell just because they spawn so many skeletons. It overwhelms the queen with her single targeting ability. So if it's a fresh hit, I always recommend using a poison just because you don't know. But I would be ready to react. You may have to use the queen's ability, say if it's a P.E.K.K.A., for example. The other thing the queen has to do, and let me zoom out here just a little bit, is set a funnel. So no matter what, when we're talking about funnel, the ideal thing here is no matter where you're going to enter with your miners need about a 12 to 15 tile spacing to enter the base. So say you wanted to enter here. Well, if you're wanting to do that, then all the trash here along the side, all this junk needs to go, and then most of this junk, right? That would then provide them with a pathway in through the base to get there. 12 to 15 tiles is kind of what's recommended, and it's base specific, obviously, whether that's on an edge or it's through the core or whatever. That's going to vary back and forth. For Town Hall 12, the next most important goal is always going to be, can you remove, let me change the color here, either the Eagle Artillery or the Town Hall. And both of those being, you're removing them for pathing wise. One thing you have to remember on Town Hall 12 is when it is in max Town Hall 12, if you're not going to remove the Town Hall with the queen, then the warden's ability will have to be used over the Town Hall. The miners, I think, can get back underground before the bomb goes off. The hogs obviously can't, and if there's anything else in the area that's slowing the miners down, you're going to lose your entire attack squad. So the warden ability would have to be reserved for the Town Hall It really can't be used anywhere else in the base. You can't use it early. And for that reason, if you were deciding to maybe take out the Town Hall over the Eagle, it's definitely probably a wise deal to just make sure you're pathing into that Town Hall first. If you're doing it on the walk, then the Eagle probably is preferable to kind of path through quickly. Obviously, on this base, when we looked at it, we ended up doing a queen walk. And I'll flip over here in just a minute. That came up through here. It ended up getting in here to get this Eagle, and then the queen walked this way and came back in, which was fine. It left a good solid pathing here up the side that allowed the kill squad to get in through that about 10 to 15 tile radius and shot them up and around through that core there. Just really allowed them to move about, and you could see the pathing here. That was essentially what was cut. There was a little more trash there in the center that they kind of circled around. Could have done that a couple different ways, but general principle is what we're looking at. So whenever we're talking about the hybrid, again, your queen walk or doing a queen walk has to cut a funnel and get a high value target as well as killing the CC. And then the Siege Barracks and the Barbarian King are also used to funnel. So just setting that funnel is the big thing. You have to make sure that that funnel is getting established. Without the funnel, say if the queen had entered here and then Siege Barracks had went down this way, you could see there that the queen may have been able to take out this section here, but then there's 20 something 30 something tiles there that the hogs and miners have to work through, and they're going to split. You're not going to be able to heal them effectively, and the warden will kind of be working in and out left and right, won't really know what he's covering when he is and when he isn't. Town Hall 11, when we just look at the space, if we pretend like the Town Hall is just Town Hall 11, Town Hall 11 really, the purpose is for the queen to get the Eagle and the clan castle. You can argue that if she can get maybe a multi-target Inferno or a single target out, as well as the Siege C, and you can get your hogs and miners into the Eagle quickly, that works fine too. It's just a matter of cutting that pathing. And for example, on this base, this was, let's see if I can zoom in here. This was a single target. I think it was the level 1 new Inferno Tower. The queen can walk into that and take that out. So you could say maybe the queen could have actually entered down, took a jump into here and got a large section out. If this was, say, a Town Hall 11, and you could have used your BK to kind of funnel out some of this trash, and that would have allowed the miners to path in directly through there and loop around. Whenever you're deploying the troops themselves with the hog miner hybrid attack, I think works best if you put the miners down and then maybe the warden between and then hogs behind, but you can do it either way. The only reason I say that, the faster you get the warden down, the more he's going to stay with the core pack. If you've got anything else in the area that's high DPS and your troops are kind of split on their targets or high troop space, he can actually pull to those troops and you'll lose him for a minute. He will circle back once they start to clump up, but that does happen. All right, let me switch over and we'll talk about this real quick. Sorry for all the spinning. I know it's a pain. So, current war over in Night Fury. Got a good possibility. We're set up to maybe get a 29 stars is what it looks like. We did get screwed yet again. We do have a 13 up here. We're going to have to 2-star and just hope that they can't clean up. Their guys already went, and he did get a high percent on Max Wood, but they've got a couple attacks left. Again, nothing we can do about this. If we're putting up the maximum amount of stars, we're clearing all the bases but a base that we were never going to be able to clear. You can look here. This is a near max defensive Town Hall 13. And the Town Hall 12, for the most part, is not going to be able to 3-star this. We could probably get a high percent. It's just not going to happen. And that's good old Supercell saying, F you guys. So we'll watch here. This is Max Wood's attack. Talk about a couple things here. Max Wood knows this. I was kind of yelling at her mid-raid, going, get the troops down, get the troops down. So the queen walk here, the whole goal of this queen walk, there was a gap here big enough between that camp and that one storage the baby dragon took down there. The queen was never going to walk back. She would eventually target this archer tower, but then eventually move toward the 6 o'clock side. So she'll get this archer tower, then move back, and then she's going the other way. Just wall break into the eagle, so you can see there that we've cut an entire side of the funnel out. Wall breakers in here. I'd like maybe a tank here just because the cannon's there, the splash damage from the mortar, you can have wall break fail. But the queen's in here now. The queen has got the eagle artillery down. She's cut a funnel. Now, the one mistake we had here, and we discussed it, but I think Max Wood just a little new to this attack. So the CC here was easily lowerable at this point. Just a single hog here, probably directly on that sweeper, could have pulled it. We actually didn't pull a CC. We had a fail, a 95% fail on this attack for doing the same thing previously. Fortunately, Max Wood's heroes are bosses, so it didn't matter. Now, as far as the rest of the funnel here, Coco Loon came in over here, just trying to absorb some stuff, pull some stuff, but siege barracks on the side. P.E.K.K.A.'s now going to work down into this hole here. I think actually ends up circling back after they get some of this high value damage down, and you can see the miners and everything started here. Now again, the CC is still not down at this point, and this is going to cause some issues because the first thing to pull the CC, I believe, is going to be the hog, and they're going to be well out in front of the archer queen here. So CC pull is getting ready to happen. There it is. And as you can see right now, this is the big reason why the CC needs to go down. Queen was fine. She made it through that single target like we talked about. I don't even think needed the rage spell. But now the queen's further back, so the aggro is going directly to the hogs and miners. Actually gets a little lucky here. The wizards that are circling around, they're out of the siege barracks, end up circling around, and the dragon ends up getting taken out by them. With the eagle down, you can really use the warden's ability just anywhere where you're running in the high DPS structures here. You can see the poison there on the dragon. The miners are up here actually getting hit by the dragon, but the wizards end up taking it down. And then if this was a max town hall, this is where we talked about there would have to be the warden's ability over that. This would have been the appropriate move here. That bomb goes off right as the miners go down. Everything from here was cleaned up. Pretty good heal placement here, but again, kind of setting on a couple spells here. I was nearly having a seizure at this point. But there's so much with these attacks. There's so many troops left here. You can't even tell that there's like 10 miners left there. Nothing hitting them there, but the wizard tower, and the healer's actually going to start to switch, or probably already did for a second. At this point, the raid's over. Good 3-star. Let's clean up, second attack. But when you're talking about Town Hall 12 hybrids, definitely important to go ahead and do this. I'm not going to cover these raid live because I don't know how that's going to go. So, but as far as the rest of the attacks go, with the hybrid, as long as we talked about with this attack, if you can get the CC pulled and to get one of these high value targets, one of those two, and it changes depending on, like, this one didn't have the town hall bombs. The town hall is not that big of a deal, right? You can kind of just work through it. It's not going to kill your troops. When the town hall is maxed, I think it's 1,000 damage to the bomb.